Okay, if everyone will take their seats, we're going to call this meeting to order. Is there Pastor Dennis Conkright here this morning? Pastor Conkright? Okay, looks like we will be doing the invocation here. Maybe Mr. Watson?
He's up there in the back, Madam Chair. We have somebody that can do our,
I'm sorry.
Roger can do the invocation.
Oh, okay. Oh, Roger's here. Fantastic.
It's been so good lately, they were going to Reverend in front of my name, but now that we have Roger Stewart.
Well, we have Roger Stewart here to give our invocation. If you'll please rise.
Amen. Heavenly Father, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, we thank you, Lord, for this day, Father God. We thank you, Lord, that we pray for our nation, pray for our leaders of our nation, pray for the man, woman who serve in our armed forces all around the world, and their family and their friends. Lord, we thank you, Father God, for our health and our strength. Lord, we thank you for making our land prosperous. Lord, we thank you, Father God, for this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and praise his name forever. Lord, we thank you for giving us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we will call to do your will and a purpose that you have called us to do in our everyday task. Lord, bless our leaders here in the Mohave County. Keep them safely and protected, Lord, that you the one put people in place so they can do the will for you and for the people. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this meeting. We thank you for all who attend here and afar. And Lord, we thank you and we praise your name forever. For this is the day that you have made. We rejoice unto you and praise your name forever. Lord, in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, amen.
Amen. Supervisor Bishop. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I need a motion to call for an executive session to be held on September 15th, 2014 at 9 a.m. for discussion and consultation with legal counsel in accordance with ARS 38-431.03.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Are there any committee or legislative reports?
Madam Chair, Jerry Hillier, our Executive Director for Quad State Governments, which we're a member of, went to a California adoption forum, which was in direct contrast to the last meeting that I gave a report on had to do with climate change. Speakers on the webinar from a variety of agencies included the Governor's Offices of California and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. As it turns out, the website research was almost as illuminating as the content of the webinar, though there are some pithy quotes that relate below. Suffice to say, the discussion was in stark contrast to the IPCC conference. Among the sponsors of the CAF was an organization called the Local Government Commission, which is an NGO not affiliated with the state's two county organizations, and for which membership and even the board of directors is password protected. The forum did have panelists from the business community, environmental staff folks from the Pacific Gas and Electric, Wells Fargo, and other firms. The business panel had reports that the Governor's Office of Business and Planning was providing grant money because the governor understands climate change and is anxious to provide funding for adaptation. The California economy is growing because of climate policy, not in spite of it. The two-day forum reportedly attracted 800 participants. The governor gets it was spoken more than once. The speakers on the webinar, really reporters in the panel and plenary sessions, indicated that greenhouse gas reduction was having an effect, but there needed to be more local government involvement in the initiatives In California, at least, they reported that the budget shrinkage of climate adaptation was not a factor. The legislature was making funding available. There was concern expressed as how to move from policymaking and regulatory platforms to on-the-ground projects. The reporters expressed considerable interest in an adjunct of the forum, the integration of art and artists and the climate change dialogue. The evening before had included an event at the Crocker Art Gallery and Museum and included climate stories and reports from climate change summer camp. They reported passion among presenters and the excitement of educating the next generation. Carrying on aesthetics is a higher form of communication. It is fundamental to adaptation. Artists are now depicting things like sea level rise, visualizing the future in ways to communicate better to the public, and threats they face from climate change. Artists are motivating conversations about safeguarding California, promoting the green movement and green portfolio management in the business community. Climate change, in the reporter's opinion, is no longer seen as just an energy issue, but a societal and cultural issue. The local government commission is concerned with moving concern and investment in climate change adaptation from the state basis to local government involvement initiative. There must be, in their opinion, be more dialogue on how the state will look. They did not use the word might to these speakers. The coming catastrophe is real unless changes are made in 2015 and 2100. Adaptation and resilience need to be incorporated into daily actions, and they believe that the public mind, the advocates and activists have turned the corner in getting government attention. The challenge has been, but in California the governor gets it, and planning for adaptation is essential. The adaptation of the proper policies attracts more investment. Such investment, in their opinion, is not risky. But on a national scale, the dialogue has to reach beyond denial and deferral of action. One of the panels reported that upon included discussion of agriculture, representatives from water stewardship groups, soil conservation groups, and crop production all reported that their members are all doing things to modify their ways of doing business to adapt to climate change. There were other reports regarding the invention and use of cool materials to use in construction so as to reduce the effect of heat islands in cities. The reporters did not go into the technology of cost, but there was hope expressed that requirements for use would ultimately be built into the permitting requirements. This was cited as a specific local government issue. One of the large success reports reported includes plans in Florida to build a 68-mile-long seawall for flood prevention to deter rising sea levels. Its construction will create new waterfronts which can be sold and finance the construction. The reporters did not speak to the status of plans and investment. It was observed that the words permanent and shoreline can no longer be used synonymously in the view of expected sea level rise. Speaker cited one of the problems with adaptation is finding ways to engage engineers. As climate change becomes more of a problem, engineers will find themselves disconnected from applying policies to design and construction. Towards the end of the session was a surprising observation that laws alone don't work. Yes, there needs to be legal framework, but the public has to be brought along through education to accept the changes that are certain to occur and to respond to the changing environment. California has a robust regulations on environment and GHGs, but CEQA need to be amended to include specific responses to climate change. Climate change must become part of the decision-making infrastructure. Funding from the state's cap and trade will help. Local governments must work together to secure on-ground adaptation responses to challenges and to promote efficiency. There was a brief concluding discussion on what does success look like. The conclusion is change in values and the culture to fully accept that there is climate crisis and investments and change must occur. The public needs to acknowledge the good in what is happening to adapt now and to gain change in its mindset to move forward on more initiatives. Adaptation is more than mitigation. It involves proactive planning and implementation to either forestall climate change or to assure investments are in place to prevent catastrophic catastrophe when its full effects occurs. We'll continue to monitor that, but it's exactly the opposite of the last meeting we attended. That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Johnson. I have a quick trout update, if anyone wants to hear. County Administrator Hendricks and I met with Senator John McCain last week. He was doing a 2-day tour of Arizona Game and Fish hotspots, I guess we want to say. He was having a nice time fishing, and it was a very informal meeting where we explained the chronology of our trout issues and We got to see a little bit of the famous McCain temper as he heard about our issues with U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And then we went for a tour to Willow Beach and met with U.S. Fish and Wildlife once again, went over all of our options that Mohave County has put together for the water delivery system. And Senator McCain gave U.S. Fish and Wildlife 2 weeks to pick one. And that 2 weeks will be, I believe, on September 9th. We have a conference call tomorrow. Mr. Hendricks and I will be on that conference call. We fully expect an answer out of that. And then Senator McCain said he will call the necessary people to get that money. Again, this is all hopeful. It's nothing definite, but we are inching closer to a resolution of our trout problem. And that's all I have. Do we have a county administrator's report?
Madam Chairman, no report today, thanks.
Thank you. And we have no minutes to approve. Now we're on to the call to public. Those wishing to address the board at the call to public regarding matters not on the board agenda must fill out and submit to the clerk a call to the public. Request to speak form located in the back of the room prior to the meeting. Action taken as a result of public comments will be limited to responding to criticism, referral to staff, or placing a matter on a future agenda. Comments are restricted to items not on the regular agenda, with the exception of the consent agenda, and must relate to matters within the jurisdiction of this board. I have nobody signed up for the call to public. Is there anyone wishing to speak? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I will close the call to public. Now, we have a couple of presentations today. The first is the adoption of the County Preparedness Month proclamation.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adopt a proclamation to declare September 2014 as County Preparedness Month to coincide with the National Preparedness Month and to promote emergency preparedness among the residents of Mohave County.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have two special recognitions of National Association of Counties 2014 Achievement Award winners. You know, every year, Mohave County wins these. We're very lucky to have such good workers and great departments who continually make the top lists for the whole National Association of Counties. So first, for 2014, Mohave County has received national recognition in two categories from the National Association of Counties. The first of the two recognitions is for Mohave County's Traffic Speed Management Program. Mohave County maintains an ongoing traffic speed management program which employs various innovative traffic control solutions toward reducing traffic speed without physical control. The Traffic Speed Management Program has yielded significant contributions to engineering practice through innovative solutions, producing marked reduction in traffic speed through target road sections. Examples include the following: a nationally recognized application of an optical speed zone, installation of radar-actuated driver feedback speed limit signs, and producing a new crash reduction factor to benefit all counties pursuing traffic speed management solutions. To accept this award, Steve Latosky, please come on down.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I do appreciate and wish to thank you all for recognizing Mohave County Public Works and implementing its ongoing traffic speed management program. It's a credit to our public works staff, our engineering division, as well as our traffic control division, which has implemented these solutions using our own forces. And it has yielded substantial impacts both for the safety of the motoring public as well as the numerous visitors to Mohave County in raising their awareness of travel and road conditions throughout the county. So I do thank you.
Thank you very much. Well deserved. Okay, the second of the two recognitions is for Mohave County's warehouse storage project. The Records Management Division of the Recorder's Office has taken on an increasingly active role in the education and training of all Mohave County departments to assist them in determining what records to retain according to their particular retention schedules, and to help the departments recognize the importance of the preservation and permanent historical records. What began as an effort in fiscal management by our county leaders to reduce the number of storage facilities within the county provided an opportunity to educate and train all departments as to the importance of their department retention schedules and the care of records in their domain. Mohave County records were stored in a variety of locations and conditions, and we were able to move a majority of records into a central location that was the county's National Guard Armory and then the jail annex. This move was cost-saving as well as the ability to create a secure environment for storage and records. So Carol Meyer and Robert Ballard, please come on down.
You want me to call up the people for you while you're out there? I got Mike. Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of people that help make this armory, building, jailhouse, or jail warehouse facility come to fruition. Some of the people that the county would like to honor are the Office of Budget and Management, Gene Hepler and Judy Toledo. From our probation department, Daryl Reeves and Roger Stewart. Roger will be. From Public Works, Steve Latowski and Greg Arnold. Mohave County Corrections Department, Don Bischoff will be accepting for Jake Harms and Jim McCabe. Oh, is he?
McCabe's right there.
Oh.
Good morning.
Just figure we'd never see you again. From County Administration, Mike Hendricks. From the County Recorder's Office, Robert Ballard and Christy Blair.
Okay, thanks again, and thanks to everyone for all the hard work they do every day. Okay, off to the consent agenda now. The consent agenda, items 5 through 40, will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion minus any items pulled for discussion.
Madam Chair, I'd like to remove item 19.
19.
22.
22. We have 24 starred. Anything else?
I guess we'll remove item 24 also.
Yeah, we took 24 off. Yes. Oh, excuse me, it's items 5 through 39. Okay.
I don't have any. Thank
You
you.
have none?
No.
Madam Chair, with that said, I'd like to move so that we approve the consent agenda items 5 through 39, excepting item 19, 22, and 24.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 19, sitting as the Board of Directors for the Mohave County Flood Control District, approve amendments number 1 to contracts number 13-PS-08, job order contract for the channel maintenance with McCormick Construction Company, Bullhead City, Arizona, Desert Construction, Kingman, FH1 Plant Services, Bullhead City, Lewis Equipment, Chico Valley and Excavation and Grading LLC, and Keyline Construction, Bullhead City, Arizona, extending the contracts for an additional one-year period from September 16, 2014 through September 15, 2015, with all other terms and conditions remaining the same.
Madam Chair, I only pulled this item as I may have a potential conflict, so I'm declining, recusing myself from the vote.
Okay, very good. Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Item 19, motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 22.
Madam Chair, I move for discussion.
Excuse me?
I'd move for discussion on 22.
Oh, okay. Discussion, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I pulled this off. I believe, I don't know if we've actually picked the sites. I know 2 sites that we're looking at are the Armory site, the old Armory site, which we just got an award for, and downtown Kingman. Are those the only 2 sites that are being considered right now, Manager Hendricks?
Can I read this so people understand what we're talking about? It's to approve the award of contract number 14-SF-36, conceptual courthouse site planning feasibility study to National Center for State Courts, Denver, Colorado, in accordance with Mohave County Procurement Code, Article 3, Section 7, sole source procurements for the amount of $35,000 to be funded by the Building Fund quarter-cent sales tax revenue on behalf of the Mohave County Superior Court. Do we have anyone to answer Supervisor Johnson's questions?
Madam Chairman, may I take a stab at it?
Yes.
Okay, Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, I believe at the previous meeting that we had Supervisor Moss motioned, and as requested amendments by Supervisor Watson, the motion included to explore, to hire this particular firm to explore the feasibility of placing the courthouse on county-owned downtown properties at a not-to-exceed cost of $50,000. I believe since then, the court and procurement have negotiated a contract with Consolidated State Court Services, or the consulting engineering firm, to do this research for $35,000, and that contract is what's being considered.
I guess my question is, I thought that the Kingman area would also include where the jail is at now. because we have land there which would be easy for transportation, and I just want to make sure we weren't limiting it to those two locations.
I understand what Supervisor Johnson's saying. It's kind of vague in this, because it was originally the property out here, but we're going to include all of it, as we discussed, down there by the old court and the jail. This study is not just about the land out here. It's about all the things we spoke about.
Don't we already have a study regarding the jail?
And we have the presiding judge up there, but before he starts, Madam Chairman, what specifically was motioned is to explore the downtown properties adjacent to the old courthouse, and the concept that was laid out is, is to check out the feasibility of that court facility going adjacent to the courthouse and remodeling the existing courthouse for special court uses, possibly drug courts or other things.
I guess, Madam Chair, my question would be, if that's what we're doing, I think we've already spent over $100 and some thousand with this firm, but if we're going to look at locations, then we should look at the site next to our jail also, because we're looking at the Armory, which, is not really downtown Kingman either, but if we're looking for something that we own already, I would like to see us just expand it to look at that land too, so we have all those options available.
All right, because I'm confused. I thought that's what we agreed on last time, is that area down by the old jail.
May it please, Chairman,
Oh,
Board.
1 second, Judge. I was talking about the new jail, not the old jail.
Oh, okay. Never mind. All right, explain.
Previously, the court was able to obtain a grant from the State Justice Institute that paid for the feasibility study for the property located off the administration campus here close to the existing jail. We're ready to go to an architect with that design. However, the board decided that it wanted to look at the feasibility of placing the court behind the existing courthouse, removing the old jail, and so that is what the purpose is for this particular feasibility study. The reason that the cost of this is much less than what we were able to obtain the grant and pay for the last study is because they already have all of the information from the last study as to specific court needs, dimensions, size of offices, courtrooms, number of courtrooms of this nature. So what they will be doing is preparing different designs. My understanding is that they can produce within, was it 2 months, approximately 2 months, 2 or 3 different designs for us to look at utilizing the downtown area. So you will have 2 feasibility studies with respect to the 2 different locations, and that would then ultimately be the decision of the board as to what location that you would like to ultimately build the new courthouse at. So we have the existing feasibility study on the county administration campus site that was primarily paid for by a grant that we obtained from the State Justice Institute. We are now looking at a new contract for the feasibility study solely for the area around the existing courthouse.
I would just think
My
that
understanding.
yeah, that sounds good, but I would think that we would look at next to where our jail is, because transportation costs and everything, it's already there, just to see if, I don't want to limit us to just 2 locations when we have another location that we already own. And
Isn't the current feasibility study the one that's adjacent to the jail? I mean, isn't that done already?
it's the armories where they looked at, where we have to tear down the building. Correct?
It would be behind the armory off of Beale Street, but ultimately the armory would have to be removed in order for there to be sufficient parking.
And we have land above and beyond that? Is that,
Yes,
is that
yeah,
what
we
you're
have it
saying?
up on the hill by the jail, so if we
All
could
right.
just include that in it, or I don't even know if they would have to do it. They would, if the county administration can just say, yeah, to clear an area X big, it would cost us whatever.
Madam Chairman, as Judge Gertler described, we do have a feasibility study showing the courthouse facility in this campus. I would assume if we go out, if that is the site that's chosen, if the administration site is chosen, what we would do is instruct the architect to develop an appropriate place in that general area, design an appropriate place, and I'm sure the board would have considerable latitude in directing those activities with the judge and with the courts to come up with an appropriate location. This specific item is for downtown and the demolishing of the old jail and potentially the old Arnold Plaza, and trying to come up with a concept for a facility down there.
Yeah.
I guess the other question I would have then would be, are they going to come back with a price saying we estimate it to be X amount of dollars for demolition?
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, what we're looking for is sufficient information so that the board can make a business decision on whether to relocate a court facility in that general area as compared with locating one here at the administration building, and that would include cost estimates or any deal killers that the consulting firm might uncover. You know, there's considerable consideration for existing utilities in the area and relocating those utilities. You know, there's costs associated with placing the facility downtown that may not be included in locating a facility here at the admin. There's savings also associated with locating the facility downtown by not having to demo certain buildings and trade-offs that can be considered. But we need the consultant to bring together the entire package, including costs, to you. And he, as an example, he might come back and say, yes, you can put a facility downtown, but it'll cost more monies than are available or that you have budgeted for the project. And then the board would be able to take into consideration, like I said, the big picture regarding the facilities and the location.
Madam Chair, we do have a meeting this afternoon with the City of Kingman, their Engineering and Public Works Department, so that we can obtain any additional information, you know, prior to, you know, meeting with the people from the National Center for State Court, and to address the cost. The way that Public Works from the county had prepared the report, it seems to indicate that we're going to be literally looking at the same costs regardless of which site, because of the fact that if you turn around and demolish Arnold Plaza, there's going to be a cost for that. We assume that the cost is going to be, you know, fairly equal or equivalent with respect to removing the armory. If we remove the armory, Public Works has told us that we need a $2 million warehouse. You know, our assumption in discussing this with County Administrator Hendricks was that it's probably going to cost $1.5 million to $2 million to remove the jail. So it really seems to be a zero-sum gain as to whether or not you go with one route or one avenue as compared to going with the other avenue.
Right. I think that this is just in response to the motion we made at our last meeting, where we only talked about the downtown area.
That is correct.
Okay.
I
think it's kind of ironic that we just gave awards out for the armory and the warehousing, and now we turn around and we're talking about taking it down, which is a big issue and a big problem.
I know that County Recorder Carol Meyer would very much prefer to keep the armory. I've made no promises to her either.
Okay.
I guess, Madam Chair, then that's all for this one. I just want to make sure that if we're doing that one, I'll bring back with something to say that we'd like to look at the other one if the board so agrees to, because there's no building to demolish there.
Okay.
That's all.
Got it.
And this is just for the view, the edification people are reviewing this. This is just so the board would have multiple choices as to where to locate the jail. And with that said, I'd move that we approve item 22 of the agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, number 24 is starred for executive session, and we're going to adjourn to executive session. And I'm going to also ask that while we're doing that, we have another agenda item number 51, that's also starred, so we don't have to go back again later during the meeting. So do I need a motion to go?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We will be back.
Okay, make sure it's also
Okay, we're back, obviously. We have item number 24, approve a standard employee housing agreement for Mohave County employees assigned at no-cost housing at Davis Camp and Wildpine Mountain Park for purpose of providing after-hours accessibility and rapid response to emergency-based mechanical, medical, and law enforcement incidents, and authorize the park administrator to administer the agreement with assigned employees.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to continue this until staff has a chance to get a complete contract.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're going to go on to number 51.
Madam Chair, I believe this item's been pulled.
Yeah, we're going to pull item 51 from the agenda when we come to it. Okay.
Madam Chair, if I
Yes.
may, I'd like to reconsider item 22. I had some additional information that I forgot to bring out that will save us from doing another board item, I believe.
Okay, you put that
I'd
in
ask for a
motion
reconsideration of item 22 for me.
of item 22, reconsideration. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
My idea was to look at other sites, and in looking at the motion that was made, it says for the Board of Supervisors to identify the construction of either a remodel or new court facility or some combination of those two be listed as our first priority, that no other priorities are to go forward until the work commences on that new construction or remodel. That we direct county administration to take all necessary steps in order to evaluate multiple feasibility studies or exams as to what would work in cooperation with the approval of the courts, the sheriffs, county attorney, to make sure all actors are vested in the decision and to remove the balance of these items from the board agenda until such time as that report is brought back to the board. Motion amended to allocate not to exceed $50,000 for the evaluation of a law and justice center on the existing county properties in downtown Kingman. It says all. I don't know if we need another motion or not. I guess it's up to the board.
Do you think that encompass it all?
I don't know. I mean,
If I could, Madam Chair, since I'm the one who gave that very verbose motion, I believe the intention was to vest the county administrator with the authority to use up to $50,000 to pursue the feasibility study in downtown Kingman or anywhere else that might be an appropriate location. It wasn't to be a limiting study.
okay.
If the current, I would say what has been brought to us has been the county administrator's opinion is the most likely prospect of those menu of options that we gave him and the courts. So, I mean, the motion that passed, I think, does embody the motion that passed today does embody the intent behind my motion most recently on that issue.
Thank you.
Okay. So you're
So
clear with
is that clear enough? Do I need another motion? I'll ask the county attorney. Do I need another motion? Will I have to bring something back to look at another location at the jail, or do you think that covers it?
I think that Mr. Supervisor Moss
Okay.
identified that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Motion to approve then?
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public hearings, 40A. Open the public hearing, discussion and possible action, adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution Number 2014-131 to rescind and cause the property to revert from an RO-1A single-family residential manufactured home prohibited 1 acre minimum lot size zone to the previous zone of AR/10A, agricultural residential 10 acre minimum lot size for failure to meet the conditions of approval as specified in Board of Supervisor Resolution Number 2013-100, which conditionally approved the rezone of assessor's parcel number 402-77-009E in the scenic vicinity of Mohave County, Arizona. Commission recommended approval by unanimous vote.
Have anybody signed up, Madam Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyone wish to speak to this? Hearing seeing none, I close the public hearing.
Motion to approve?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 40B, I'm opening the public hearing. Discussion and possible action. Adoption of the Board of Supervisors Resolution Number 2014-132, rezone of assessor's parcel number 402-770-009E from an A-R/10A agricultural residential 10-acre minimum lot size zone to A-R/5A and A-R/8A agricultural residential 5 and 8 acre minimum lot size zones to allow creation of 5 residential parcels in the scenic vicinity west of Scenic Boulevard between Shirley Drive and Chaparral Drive, Mohave County, Arizona. Commission recommended approval by unanimous vote. Anyone wish to speak? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing.
Move to approve item 40B of the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 41A, I'm opening the public hearing. Discussion and possible action, adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution Number 2014-133, amendment to the Mohave County General Plan from an SDA Suburban Development Area land use designation to UDA/GC Urban Development Area General Commercial and Use Designation, and an amendment to the North Kingman Area Plan from A-R Agricultural Residential Land Use Designation to C Commercial Land Use Designation for assessors parcel numbers 310-15-003-004 and -005, and a portion of 310-15-012 to allow commercial development in the Kingman Airport vicinity west of State Highway 66 on both sides of Grace Neal Parkway, Mohave County, Arizona. Commission recommended approval by unanimous vote. Anyone want to speak? Okay, close the public hearing.
Madam Chair, go ahead. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 41B, opening public hearing. Discussion and possible action, adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution Number 2014-134, a rezone of assessors parcel numbers 310-15-003, 004, 005, and a portion of 310-15-012 from a general C-2H general commercial highway frontage and A-R/10A agricultural residential 10-acre minimum lot size zones to CMO commercial manufacturing open lot storage and C-2H general commercial highway frontage zones to allow commercial development in the Kingman Airport vicinity west of State Highway 66 on both sides of Grace Neal Parkway, Mohave County, Arizona. The Commission recommended approval by motion as follows. Properties north of Grace Neal Parkway are to be zoned C-MO, and properties south of Grace Neal Parkway are to be zoned C-2H. This motion carried unanimously. Anyone want to speak? Okay, public hearing closed.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve item 41B in conformity with the Commission's recommendation.
Do I have a second? I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that's enough. That's it for the public hearing. We're off to the regular agenda now. Number 42. Discuss and possible action, adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution Number 2014-078, rezoning use permit on assessor's parcel number 208-04-026 for a secondary residence in a general zone in the Yucca vicinity west of the Yucca frontage road between First Avenue and Gandalf Way, Mohave County, Arizona. Continued from the August 4th, 2014 and June 2nd, 2014 Board of Supervisor meetings. Commission recommended approval by unanimous vote and added a limitation that after 12 months it will be reviewed if there is a reason to review it. That being said, if there is full compliance, then there is no reason to review it again.
Madam Chair, taking Supervisor Watson's recommendation, I drove to the property and I looked at it. My characterization of the property is, to put it nicely, that it is cluttered. I am not certain that that would be, in my view, an appropriate location for a secondary residence in its current cluttered state. It certainly has the geographic area for a second residence if it was cleaned up, but it's not cleaned up. We would just be adding to the highway clutter, and I'm not certain that this is a property which in its current state should be approved for a second residence. I would ask if I could beg your indulgence, our attorney, Mr. Taylor, as to whether the reasonings I just enunciated are sufficient to deny item 42 of the agenda.
Well, Supervisor Moss, if the property is not in compliance with its zoning regulations, with respect to lot coverage and storage of materials and stuff like that, I don't think that we would entertain a motion for a secondary residence. If you feel that if it is in compliance, but it generally is, with respect to the storage of materials and stuff like that, but that would prohibit the orderly use of the property for a secondary residence as well as a primary residence, I think that would be sufficient to deny the request.
Let me ask you it this way, just make sure I'm clear. It's entirely up to us whether we grant a zoning use permit or not.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
And you would consider things like the condition of the property, whether or not it's a secondary residence would promote overcrowding, that sort of thing, and to the extent that your assessment of the property supports that consideration, you would have there.
With that said, then, Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we deny item 42, and that if the homeowner or the property owner is listening, if they cleaned up the property, I would certainly be willing to entertain reconsidering that decision.
Okay, we have a motion to deny and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Denied. Number 43, brought by Ron Nicholson, our Mohave County Assessor. Discussion and possible action, redeem the waivers for the applicants who missed the March 1st deadline, so they will be eligible for property tax exemption for the 2014 year per ARS 42-11153B. We continued this. We had questions. The assessor wasn't available, but I believe he is now. Hello.
Hello.
Madam Chair, motion for discussion.
Second? Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That's it?
I have some questions, Madam Chair.
Oh.
Mr. Nicholson, the deadline is March 1st for filing these exemptions?
That's the deadline for original affidavits, right? That's not for everybody because you have the waiver situation.
Right. I guess it seems like it gets longer every year where, if you're one day late on your payments for the taxes, they add a lot to it. Do we have a set date, or what's the point? And I know it's not your call. I know the county attorney's allowed us to let these things go on, but if March 1st is a deadline, why 6 months later are we still giving waivers?
Let me share with you some of my historical memory. May I approach and pass out a handout to each of you? It'll only be a minute.
Oh, that's right. Go ahead, please.
Thanks.
What you have before you, we visited this all in 1999 and 2000 when I was a chief deputy. And what you have is two letters. One is a letter of opinion and recommendation from Bill Ekstrom, county attorney. And the one after that is a letter actually written by me to Buster back in year 2000 when I was a chief deputy assessor. The bottom line is that, yes, people are supposed to, by law, apply for their exemptions. Now, these are the widows, the widowers, and the disabled. These are the people that are more disadvantaged in our county. They have this right. Now, the legislature also provided an opening for them. Now, what we see in our office, we have people who are older. Their memory is not all it should be. They see where they have to file, but it's based on last year's taxes. Well, the deadline is March 1. The taxes are not due until April 15th, so they don't have the paperwork, so they might be filing later. Look, this is no skin off your nose as far as giving these redemptions. There's 248 this year. This helps our more needy. You don't do the work, my office does the work. And basically, we've qualified every one of these people, and we say, let's give it to them. We're elected. We're there to serve. Now, Buster says about the date that was found by Bill Ekstrom at this time, or at that time, went right through the end of September. And that is what has been found legally to be that they have that right to go before you before that date. Now, what is the alternative? Yes, you could say, no, we're not going to do any redemptions. I will still fill these out for everybody. I will agendize and turn them in, and then you will have to go to your constituents and say, well, why didn't you give it to me? And basically, the legislature provided this opening, and I say, you know, we're one of the more lenient counties in the state, and I think we're doing it right, and we're seeing to the needs of our needy. So, any other questions I may answer?
Yes, Madam Chair. That gives us what, 5 months or 6 months till, or 5 months in between time when the due date is, so they have.
From March 1 until September 30th.
Right. I guess I just wanted to bring it to the board to see if that is something we want to continue to do, because they keep coming in dribbles as people give them to you, and we've got it on the agenda all the time, and it's.
Well, we could do it all at once. In other words, I could wait until the September and then agendize and turn all these over at once, but that would be 238 by this count now.
This will go to their next year appeal, to their next year taxes, right?
This would go to their next year taxes. That's correct. That's why it has to be done before this year's tax bills are mailed out or due in September. Let me tell you, other counties may not do it this way, mainly because their assessor considers it a lot of work to qualify these people, these 238. We don't look at it that way. We look at it from the point of view that we're providing a service. By agendizing it, it goes on your consent agenda. You're voting on all these anyway. It just goes right through smoothly. We've been doing it this way for 14, 15 years.
Madam Chair, if I could,
Yes.
if I may. I wanted to thank you, Assessor Nicholson, for bringing this detail to my attention. I do note that in the backup material, everyone that's being requested for these extensions or waivers are disabled, they're widows, they are the more vulnerable society, and I'm very glad that the state legislature gave them that additional window, because some of these people, I suspect, would have a very hard time attending church service on time, let alone seeing you in the assessor's office. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Those are the only questions I had. I just want to bring it to the board's attention. It is a March 1st deadline, and we've typically been giving this a lot of extensions. That's all I had.
Okay.
Anyone else? Ms. Watson? Okay.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve item 43 of the agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 44, sitting as Board of Directors for the Mohave County Television Improvement District. Discussion and possible action to authorize staff to develop an agreement with TV2 to delineate the terms of an agreement that will allow the rebroadcasting of the station over the county system with no cost to the county. Proposed agreement to be brought back to the board for final approval. Motion to discuss?
I move for discussion on item 44 of the agenda, Madam Chair.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I would just want to give a little bit of history on this item. We're talking about the TV district again, and for those of you who don't know, I've been against the TV district. However, I've learned to embrace it, and if we're going to have it, sort of my goal now, my goal is to make it as good as possible for as cheap as possible. That's how I'm looking at it. So several months ago, I was approached by the owner of TV2, which is out of Laughlin. It serves Bullhead City and I believe Golden Valley, and if it would be possible to put their network on our system. Not really knowing anything about it, I put it over to the administration and did a lot of work and introduced them to WECOM, who has the contract for the system. And apparently they have worked some things out. My only stipulations were that it didn't cost the county any money. And apparently now the agreements have been made, and that's why we're hearing this today. And I believe we have some people signed up to speak. Lynn Clark. If you can just say your name and your address for the record, please.
My name is Lynn Clark. I reside at 3733 West Cliff, Laughlin, Nevada. I am president and CFO of Chelsea Street Video Productions, Inc., which is the parent company for TV2 KLBC. I am here today. Bruce planned on being here to present this to you. However, Friday he had a triple bypass. He's doing fine. He had no heart attack. He wasn't feeling well. He went into the doctor. They did an angiogram, and they did the procedure on Friday. He's doing very well. He wanted me to convey to Madam Chairman and the supervisors, the Board of Supervisors, that this will not in any way delay anything that TV2 has to do. We are full speed ahead if we get the go-ahead. Bruce is not a construction worker, nor is he a ditch digger. He is a TV talk show host. So as long as he is a talking head with an opinion, we're good. And so far, so good. I'm prepared to answer any questions in regard to his health or anything of that nature. I would, however, have Sam Medrano will be able to give you the presentation that Bruce was. And I have Keith Davis, another coworker, that is here to answer any technical questions. So if you have any questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Well, Lynn, first, please convey our best wishes to Bruce. I know Bruce Clark, and I know what he wants, and I know he'll be back, and I know how strong he is. I'm very surprised I hadn't heard this. But please send him my love and regards. And
I
best
will.
Wishes.
You know, we tried to keep this as quiet as possible. And as I said, he did not have a heart attack. Thank goodness he has gone down this road before. But I believe he's going to be very hard to keep down now.
Yes, that we know. Okay, so he wants to go forward on this.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
So you want to bring Sam down?
Yes, I would like Sam to give the presentation. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Wow.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and members of the board. I'm Sam Medrano. I'm the news director for TV2 KLBC in Laughlin. Starting from the spare bedroom of Bruce and Lynn's home in Laughlin in 1989 to our expansion into Bullhead City into 1994 to our most recent expansion into Las Vegas, TV2 is a knack for doing the impossible and being very successful at it. We were told being a cable-only television station would never work. We made it work, 25 years. We were told the cable company in Bullhead City will never let us on. In 1994, we microwaved our signal into Bullhead City and the cable company flipped a switch over there and we were on. Last year, a new cable provider in Las Vegas, CenturyLink, was expanding into Laughlin, and they came to us asking for our signal, not just in Laughlin, but also for their 35,000 subscribers in Las Vegas. In 2002, we introduced our flagship program, The Morning Show with Bruce Clark, which he was on by telephone this morning, and I will tell you that he sounded great. We introduced our flagship program, The Morning Show, to the World Wide Web, and at last count, and these are figures we can show, our show has been watched an average of 120,000 times a year around the globe. So you see, it's no coincidence that I'm standing here in front of you today asking you to help me help you. The Mohave County Television District was created to bring television services to this part of Arizona, and you've done that. Now let's take it a step further. Rather than just relying on Phoenix and Las Vegas, let's really hit home. A local television station with a 25-year track record with the will and the means to be a real asset to the residents of Mohave County. News, information, sports, entertainment, not from Phoenix, but from right here. An emergency warning system that notifies residents anywhere in Mohave County, even up on the Arizona Strip. It works because we do business here and we care about what goes on here. The boys in Phoenix are polished and smooth, but their knowledge and interest in Mohave County is nil. Our interest is huge. We're willing to invest and create jobs, not a lot, but more than we have now, about 14 total. That's a hefty load for a small business, but we've done it before and we feel the time is right to do it again. We're taking the risk because that's what free enterprise is all about. Our proposal does not ask the county for any subsidy and therefore will have absolutely no burden on the taxpaying public of Mohave County. We are in return helping meet the original goals of the television district while also offering a system to offer a countywide emergency warning system. In conclusion, I ask that you support this proposal and help us help you help the residents of Mohave County. Thank you.
Thank you.
I stand for any questions you might have.
Anyone have any questions? Ms. Johnson?
Not as Mr. Medrano.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yep.
I'm just going to ask Sam some questions so that I can make sure that the people watching this understand that there's a benefit to Mohave County. It's my understanding that the TV2 would be providing free ad time to Mohave, not free, but as part of the deal, you'd run our ads and would not charge Mohave County.
You mean public service announcements?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So if there's an emergency issue or whether there was a community issue like the Passport to Route 66 event, that those could be advertised as a public service and no cost to Mohave County.
Absolutely.
You'd also be televising the Board of Supervisor meetings so a greater number of the public would be able to view what goes on here and form an opinion as to whether it's good or bad.
If those become part of the agreement, I'm sure that is. I'm not privy to what that aspect of the agreement will include. We, as it is now, the Board of Supervisors meeting do play a big part in our news program.
Right. And so, and finally, and I just draw attention to it, it's costing Mohave County nothing. TV2 is paying the entirety of cost of getting this up and running.
We are working with the provider to provide that to no cost to the county, correct?
Right. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe that in the past, what I've been told is that broadcasters have approached before, but none have been able to see it through the fruition. And now that we have, we've debated about the TV district in public, and we have come to the agreement that it is necessary, and we're going to keep it. And we did chip a little away at the tax about it. I'm actually excited to think that we could make it even better for for less cost, and maybe even it could go into what I think Supervisor Johnson was speaking about in meetings before about, getting some emergency, working with the Sheriff's Department. If there's ever emergency broadcast that needs to be done, it's already there. County doesn't have to invest any more money into it if it doesn't need to now. I don't see any need to do it now, but that's just me.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to meeting those emergency. We do that on a basis right now. If things actually happen in Bullhead City or Laughlin that require us to go live, we can do that in a matter of minutes if things absolutely require us to do that. With new technologies and so on and so forth, I mean, even your technology with the flood control district, with the cameras you have in the middle of the washes, I mean, we can literally access those now and warn people of what exactly it looks like out in the middle of the desert. We can do that now if we wanted to. So the technology is available to make this a lot more palatable and certainly a lot more cost effective for us, and obviously to offer it at no charge to the county.
I have a couple of questions for Mr. Trahan, if he would come up for a second. Hello.
Do I need to introduce myself?
Sure, go ahead.
Madam Chairman and members of the board, my name is Jack Trahan. I'm with WECOM at 2332 Kingman Avenue here in Kingman, Arizona.
Okay. Mr. Trahan, how many stations are there now on the system that we provide?
There are a total of about 50 translators located throughout the county at several different sites, rebroadcasting of about 7 or 8 major networks out of Las Vegas and Phoenix area.
Right, but they're all Las Vegas. There's nothing local, is my point. This would be the first local station on the system.
Well, there are another, Joe Hart has a local thing here in Kingman and Bullhead and Havasu, and the rest of it is basically from the Phoenix metropolitan area or Las Vegas.
Oh, so okay, we'll be hearing from Mr. Hart in a minute. Okay, and you see no reason for, you're happy to work with Channel 2 and getting this going? Well,
as you know, our company WECOM was called by the county and asked to go to your office and have a meeting to find out exactly what it was that TV2 wanted to do and if it was technically feasible. Me and a couple of my guys went down there and met with you and Mike and the people from TV2 to find out exactly what they wanted to do, to see if technology would allow that to happen. And we have been looking into the technical side of it. And I don't know everything about it because I've had the people that have worked for me do that, but I do have Paul Fleming here that can answer any technical questions that you guys might have about this.
No, I don't want to get into technical. I just wanted to get the whole picture. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
I have a question. Have we asked other producers of these types of systems if they have an interest in joining the Mohave County system?
I don't know, Mike, I don't know how many there are here, to tell you the truth.
Chairman Angus, Supervisor Watson, I don't have, staff hasn't contacted anybody else, and like Chairman Angus said, I'm not sure there is any other providers. But one of the things that we did do is we tried to act on a request. So we initially received a request from TV2. I'm assuming that if we received a similar request from any other local network, that we would handle it similarly like we have in the past. There's a history of how we've approached these issues, and go ahead and the board's wishes have been to try to come up with some sort of an agreement at no cost to the county if it's feasibly acceptable what's being proposed, and that's what we've done. So if another TV company wanted to approach the county, they certainly could, and we could do the same exact thing, explore possibilities for them.
I guess, Madam Chair, to answer Supervisor Watson, there's at least 2 channels in Havasu. Mm-hmm. I believe there is at least 2 up here. One of them's already on Mr. Hart's station, and then there's another one. So there's other local stations that I think what you're getting at's a good point. If we're going to do something like this, then it needs to go out to a bid.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is put out some type of a bid to get information from all the providers and give them all an equal opportunity to participate in Mohave County. I'd hate to start with a specialized contract, which is one company, without addressing the entire universe.
If I could, I've read the backup material, and it seems like WECOM has multiple options for someone who wants to broadcast. Like I said, the phrase I heard that Supervisor or Chairman Angus said was the first, which is actually the second, since Mr. Hart's already there. I didn't know that. But, you know, there's room for a third, fourth, and fifth. I mean, there's no reason from I can see for a bid if they want to come up and do it at no cost to them, to the county, and put their transponder up and give a free service to our residents. What are we bidding?
Well, I guess.
what are we going to get if we go out to bid? What are we looking for?
Well, I guess I had some questions here, and maybe go over and answer some of what I had. Might answer Supervisor Moss. I think anything local is good as long as it serves the public interest. Mm-hmm. However, there are legal issues on both sides of any such agreement that will cause the county more problems than I believe it's worth. There's no doubt that if you open the door to one non-FCC licensed broadcast source, you will open the door to a flood of others who wish to be treated equally. The questions are, if an unlicensed cable-only source is allowed to broadcast on county systems, how will the county hold the content provider to over-the-air FCC standards? There are many, to include a certain amount of children's programming, public service programming, accessibility for the disabled, texting and titling, and the public emergency and information programming. If an unlicensed cable-only source is allowed to broadcast in the county system, how will the county be held harmless in the event of content provided does not comply with the FCC standards? And if an unlicensed cable-only source is allowed to operate on county system, how will the county monitor the content provider to hold the service accountable to the same FCC rules, standards, and reporting that govern other current FCC licensed over-the-air broadcast stations? Who will pay for the addition of any new transmitters, antennas, microwave systems required to broadcast the source? Who will pay WECOM to maintain the equipment? Some of those were in our contract, but I think we should get them out in the public. How will the county charge this service for the privilege of broadcasting on the county system? And if the county elects to pay-to-play scheme, you must do the same for FCC licensed Phoenix providers. That opens another door to lawsuits and loss of service when the Phoenix channels get tired of the situation here of not paying, everybody else not paying the same rates. I think those are the biggest questions I had.
And my larger concern is our openness to the liability issue of the unlicensed provider. I think it's.
Is there an answer to the unlicensed part of this? Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of. I know that I raised a question about licensing for the county, to protect the county, and so Yvonne had me get in contact with your legal in Washington, D.C., and they're looking up some stuff right now.
Okay.
They said they haven't answered this.
Thank you, Mr. Rahan.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah, Madam Chairman, Supervisor Watson, Supervisor Johnson, we've run across this issue on a number of different bases. Even our agreement with now Suddenlink in Bullhead City requires us to follow the FCC regulations as if we were a broadcast station just to be on their cable system. So it's not an unregulated system. And we are familiar with the FCC regulations, and so therefore we do have every intention of following them in every step of the way as if we were an over-the-air broadcast television station. And I believe that is something that could be handled contractually in the agreement with Mohave County.
And, you know, while we're talking, I'm glad you brought this up. Would you come back, Mr. Trahan? You know, you talk about, you know, why don't we ever get anything? You know, who pays you to, I mean, we have these stations out of Phoenix. Are they paying you or are you paying them? I mean, there's a lot of money going back, but we don't see it.
Well, I think Yvonne would have to answer that, but I believe it's just a broadcast agreement between the Phoenix stations and Mohave County. It's just a piece of paper.
Is there a fee involved, though?
No, there's no fee.
There's no fee, but
No.
don't we pay a fee? Don't
No,
we pay
I believe it's only for, it expands their boundaries, so it's a plus to them, and we pay for all of the translators to be brought up or transmission, so it's no cost to them, and they get their pay.
I know there's something that they signed with the county, a rebroadcast agreement between the county and the Phoenix stations, and I think Yvonne has copies of those.
This is what my world, if I may, Madam Chair,
Yeah, sure.
my worldview on here, and maybe I'm simplifying things, but I think it's the habit of very smart people is to complicate things for no good reason. The simple thing is our residents in Mohave County pay to maintain and run a TV district. And they get a certain amount of shows based upon that, and they get their shows from people who are willing to pay to put their little doodads on our towers at no cost to the county. And so the people who are paying for the programming, our residents, get more programming if people like TV2 or these Phoenix stations or Vegas stations or the two stations out of Havasu or the other two out of, or the one that's left in Kingman, put things up at us. The people who are paying for the service are getting more service, is what it comes down to.
Exactly.
They're getting more channels. So
and if the stations in Havasu want to, there is a cost involved. I mean, Channel 2 is, as I understand it, there's a
paying some money.
They're paying some money. There's some startup costs, there's some equipment costs. It's not just flipping a switch and they're on. So. You know, early on when I was supervisor, I was approached by another media operator here who asked me the same question, and I said, just write a letter of interest, and I'll do what I did. I mean, I'm not sort of picking and choosing anyone who I would see want to. Again, it's just another service. If it doesn't cost us any money, if we have no liability on it, we want to make sure we have no liability, then I just don't see this as anything else but a win-win. But there is somebody signed up to speak against it. So, Mr. Joe Hart, if you want to come down and tell us what you think.
Madam Chairman, for the record, my name is Joe Hart. I reside at 3819 South Stonehill Way in Kingman, Arizona. I have Channel 21 in Lake Havasu, Channel 36 in Kingman, and I've done it for free for about 20 years already. Has not cost the county a dime, except they put one used piece of equipment up. I'm not for profit like Channel 22 in Bullhead, so I suffer all my own losses. And as you can see, I'm losing weight doing it. It's an opportunity, I think, that the county should look at, but I think we've overlooked a few other things. I am closely regulated by the FCC. Every channel I've got on radio and television, I have to answer to every FCC rule, regulation, and audit or visit. Whenever they come, they check everything except my underwear. And to pay for this privilege, to do this, is we've always done it as a public service, not to be redundant. Everything that Sam has said, I do too. Public service announcements, anything that happens at the county office, if it's something that's the city or the county or anybody is interested in, it will benefit them. We provide it free. I try to make it up in my radio broadcasting, but there's going to be a time and a place when I need to do this too. So I just want to be treated fairly. I'm all about providing service for everybody. I've done it for 30 years for all of Mohave County, and I'm going to continue to do it.
Ignore it. Where exactly is your station? Where do they broadcast? Because I don't think I get it down in Bullhead. Do I? It's up.
Well, yes, you do. Channel 36 is in Bullhead.
Oh, okay.
21 is in Havasu, and they all cover Kingman, Golden Valley, Bullhead, Havasu.
Did you ever explore the option of coming on the county system?
He is on.
Oh, you're on. So, I'm so sorry. I thought you were talking as someone who might want it. So I obviously don't get the TV district in my home, but.
My dream is whenever I get out of politics, when I can go on and do some local talk, I want to do the same thing as Bruce has done. I think that it's time that we have some good local talk that covers all of the county, and that's basically what I put this network together to do, and we'll eventually do it that way. But I can't go on my own radio station and say things that I would like to say.
Okay.
Because I am regulated by the FCC.
Sure.
So if I can, Mr. Hart, Madam Chair, is your objection to TV2's request that they're not FCC regulated and you are?
Well, that's one part of it, and they're for profit. They sell advertising to everybody, and I don't. I just try to provide it as a public service. We started out. There'll be a time and a place when Kingman and Bullhead will have time to, and the audience to supply an income for a TV station that get paid. But right now, it's in this economy, it's just totally impossible.
Well, thank you. Any other questions from Mr. Hart?
Not Mr. Hart, no.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hart.
Okay, so as I understand it, the one issue that we're still a little unclear on is the FCC. Do we need more? Can you come back up here? You're saying that, because you were on Suddenlink, right? You're on the system. Even though you're not, you still have to.
Yes. And that's just some of those things because we don't have a translator that broadcasts over there. The agreement we have with Suddenlink requires us to follow FCC regulations about content. We don't. We don't show those bad movies, those bad shows. We don't do any of that. We have plenty of public service announcements. We have a newscast. We have, we have talk shows and so on and so forth. And I do want to remind you that, all the Phoenix stations, they're all for-profit companies as well. That's not something new that you rebroadcast and they get to use the audience that you have here in Mohave County as viewership just like anybody else does. So, we welcome the competition. And, but we already have to follow the FCC regulations through our contract with Suddenlink.
Okay, so this motion is to allow the rebroadcasting of the station over the county system with no cost to the county. And we still would look at the proposed agreement after you guys have knocked it out.
And I think that the agreement can specifically address FCC regulations. It's not going to be an issue for us because we already are.
Right. Okay.
Madam Chair, with that said, I move that we approve authorizing staff to develop an agreement with TV2 to delineate the terms of an agreement that will allow the rebroadcasting of the station over the county system with no cost to the county. The proposed agreement is to be brought back to the board for final approval and shall contain provisions regarding complying with FCC requirements and any other comments that WECOM and others may make in the course of directing that agreement.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second.
Discussion.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I believe this company is a Vegas company or a Nevada company?
They're out of Laughlin.
They're a Nevada company. I believe if we go ahead with this, we're really jumping the gun here. We have other companies that could do it. We're asking to place somebody on who you heard Mr. Hart talk about how he has invested his time and money into putting up translators to broadcast and has done the same service that these people are going to offer us. We're taking a cable company or a small broadcasting company and moving them into a market they're not now in. From my understanding, I've been on the show a couple times in years past. Basically, they have a talk show, and that's all we're bringing to the people. I don't see the public good that's going to be given to the people of Mohave County by putting these people on. They have no really news source. They don't go out and check on people. The other programming is non-existent. I think if we're going to do something like this, it should be an FCC channel, and we should go out for bid. And I think there's only 2 channels available that are open on Fox right now. So if we give this away, we're down to 1 channel left.
Okay.
That's all.
Do you want to answer that?
Madam Chairman and Supervisor Johnson, I appreciate the concern. Right now, we all, in addition to the talk show, we do produce a show, and we have for 6 seasons now, called Tri-State on Patrol. We do ride along with the Sheriff's Department. I've actually done a ride along with the Sheriff Sergeant in Colorado City. So our commitment to Mohave County is great. We've done ride-alongs with the Kingman Police Department, Lake Havasu City Police Department, the Sheriff's Office Boat Patrol on Lake Havasu. We've done Nevada Highway Patrol. We've done California Highway Patrol. We are located in the tri-state area. Some of the other things that you need to take into account is when I say that we're going to do an investment, we're going to do the investment to open offices in Lake Havasu City and in Kingman with the specific desire to increase news coverage, which is something you don't get in Mohave County on any of the Phoenix stations. So, I mean, we are expanding, we are investing, we are planning. This is a big move for us, and we're taking the risk, and we will be the ones providing news coverage, emergency information to people in the ruralest parts of Mohave County as well, which is, and we get that news now. We just don't have a way to broadcast it to them, and this is a situation where we see a win-win for us and for the residents of Mohave County.
Mr. Trahan, do we have any stations out of Las Vegas or is it just all Phoenix?
We have Las Vegas.
We have Las Vegas, so the whole Nevada thing is moot because we have some already stations. Okay, okay.
I think, Madam Chair, I just bring it up to say we have companies that are based in Mohave County, and we're going outside to get another company.
You know, so it's, again, any other station can come forward. They just happen to be willing and able to do it. I got some backup material that gave some history of some other networks who had tried to do it but fell short for whatever reason. I mean, if anybody wants to, my point is that this wasn't something that I think that Mohave County was looking for. When it came, as long as it didn't cost us anything or whatever, it's just another added value to this thing that we provide as a service that actually they pay for. I mean, we don't provide it, the citizens pay for it.
All right. I'm looking at the backup material, and perhaps I'm reading it wrong, Supervisor Johnson, but I'm getting the impression that there's a lot more than just 2 stations available.
Well, there probably are. I only like I didn't want to.
I mean, their options range from a low of $22,000 in startup cost to a high of $200,000 in startup cost, and with 1 or 2 in the middle. And it depends on what the broadcaster wants to do and how much coverage they want to get, is what it comes down to. So, I mean, if we could probably, if I'm reading this right, we could have a dozen people walk in and we could say, fine.
Oh, for the channels? I don't know. I guess we could ask Ms. Orr. I believe this one was looking at a sub-channel on Fox.
Yeah, that's one of the options. That's one of the options. Fox has unused sub-channels that we could utilize. But there's cheaper options, too.
I think there's only two. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe Ms. Orr can.
Good morning, Madam Chairman, Supervisors. That is correct. Currently, in the current format, we have one available sub-channel on Fox. Technically, Paul can address it further with expansion, and at some expense, there could be potential for other stations.
And I see that there's 3 options laid out in the memo to us: installing new translators, using an offline TV station that's not broadcasting or is only broadcasting offline, and then using this Fox bandwidth, all of which are options here.
Correct.
So there's more than one. We could take more than one TV station that wants to come in. We can take more than 2. If I'm reading this, we could take many TV stations depending on which on the menu they wanted.
That is correct, Supervisor Moss. However, when you start taking channels away from constituents, they tend to get a little picky. And in order to accommodate someone else, we would have to remove, say, another ABC or NBC.
Okay, but we're talking offline broadcasting. Is that right? Is that now we're talking the second option here, as opposed to options A, B, and C. If we do the offline broadcasting, that's option B. TV2 is talking option C, and there's always option A.
Okay, let's have Paul address the technical aspects of that.
My name is Paul Fleming for WECOM. So the 3 options that you're looking at are one laid out to do 3 options for the exact same thing.
Right.
And yes, there is a potential for future expansion. So the ability to use a sub-channel of Fox, if you want to be in any level of high definition, there's only one channel available, or one, let's call it slot.
Okay.
So at this present time, one new provider could be put on that slot. Then on the present translator system that exists at this moment, there would be no more slots available. So no other TV stations could come in and get on that translator system. The more expensive option you've seen in the memo is that if we wanted to add availability or capacity for future or more TV stations or more slots, you're then talking about a new build. So the cheapest option on there is that we can take a device that allows a channel to use that Fox sub-channel. It basically allows them to use that one slot. As it sits right now, you can't just insert them because the sub-channel is underneath Fox. So we have to separate it out. So that cheap option is we can bring one person in, separate it out, they can take over that sub-channel. Right now, they'd be on the translator system, everybody's happy. That's been the present option that's been laid out for TV2. The next option, which you've seen also, is to take somebody else offline. So you could take a TV station offline, developing or opening up a new spot, that new TV station comes in and takes their spot over. The third or more expensive option is then we have to add capacity or add new slots. So adding new slots is it's a very extensive process, because not only do we have new microwave, we have new translators, new transcoders, all different types of options. So we also then have to go back to the FCC for new frequencies, new channel assignments, per market. So, you know, one frequency or channel assignment might not work in every single market due to the fact that it could be being used somewhere else, therefore an interference issue. So I guess technically everything you're speaking of does exist, but it's the 3 options that were laid out for TV2 were to take somebody else off, separate out the Fox subchannel, or to go about adding new transcoders, and that's when it becomes very expensive.
Okay. Now, to interpret this phrase for me, take a TV station that is presently broadcasting offline.
Mm-hmm.
What is the TV station that is presently broadcasting offline? What does that mean, the broadcasting offline?
So when that was written, what I was talking about is, let's say you had ABC broadcasting, and you decided that TV2 was more important than ABC. We could remove ABC entirely and let TV2 take over their spot. ABC would no longer exist on the translator system at that point.
Now, but what does broadcasting offline mean? What is ABC doing when you say they're broadcasting offline?
He's confusing.
think they're taking them off, Steve. I mean,
Yeah, when I say I'm taking their broadcast offline, I'm saying that like they don't exist anymore. We eliminate them from the system entirely.
Well, that's not the sentence in the thing. That's why I'm being confused, because option B is take a TV station that is presently, that is currently broadcasting. So you're saying remove that from the system?
Yes, I'm saying a TV station that's presently broadcasting, we take them offline, as in we eliminate them entirely, and then TV2 would get their slot.
I'm too young. I'm having a senior moment anyway, so I apologize.
No worries.
The next thing is, how many TV stations are currently broadcasting in this current TV2 signal from Hayden? How many stations do we have out there for the public?
Is it 13 total? Or 15?
Okay, so, but major networks, now I know of 3 major networks, so that's 3. You have Prescott, that's Joe Hart, that's 5. What's independent 3? Okay. So if I wanted to get rid of a Phoenix station, I could put, I don't have to put ABC off, I can go to independent 3. Or, or I could go to the Prescott station, we can remove them. It doesn't always have to be, I'm taking people's ABC away from them.
No, I used ABC as an example because I knew everyone would know what ABC is, opposed if I say KUTP or something, some other acronym. So,
got it.
But yeah, the station you take offline is dependent upon what the board decides and what that impact would be to the users. So it's just merely a station or a slot could be removed. A station could be removed to open up a slot.
Okay.
So.
I have a question, Madam Chair. If this goes through, does that mean that we would not have a channel available if the county decided to go with their own emergency transmission where we set up our own?
Correct. On the present translator system as it is designed and outlaid at this time, there would be 1 slot available. If TV2 takes that slot, there becomes no slots available. And then I'm sorry.
Okay, and then because Supervisor Moss obviously hasn't had the phone calls on the TV stations going out yet. I wouldn't want to be the guy to pick which channel to take off. So let's say we had to expand. What is the expansion if, say, we wanted to do our own, the amount of money for translators and everything that we'd have to put in? Say to get another channel freestanding, so we just added one instead of taking somebody offline?
Are you asking me what the cost would be for that?
Yeah, just the ballpark. I mean, is it $10,000, $100,000, $1 million?
To cover everything, you cover
yeah,
now,
the
right?
same coverage, just add another one.
I say my assumption would be closer to $200,000, but Jack's saying about 100. So
how many years have we had the TV district? It's like we're from 1983, and has there been a reason that the county's never chosen to use one of the slots since 1983? I mean, now we're all worried about using the slot.
I would not know of a reason you haven't, other than potentially when it was analog, it was more difficult to get your station online, where now that everything's digital, it becomes much simpler for you to get your own station online. That would be a total guess, though.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have a motion and a second, and we will be looking at the agreement again when you're done. And I hope that all of these things would be in that agreement, so we don't have to go through that again. Okay? So motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No. Aye.
So that's...
You might want to poll us.
Yeah, let's poll.
Yes.
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 No.
No.
Okay. Motion carried. It's 44. Now, 45. Before we go to 45, I'm going to move items. It was a late add, items 52A and 52B before we get to 45, because I think it's going to affect it. So 52A would be discussion and possible action for reconsideration of August 18th, 2014, agenda item number 38, discussion and possible action to accept the Horizon 6 Trail Report for discussion and possible further action. This was continued by the board from our April 7th, May 5th, May 19th meetings. Do I have a motion to reconsider?
Motion for reconsideration.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 52B, discussion.
Yes. I'm sorry, Chairman. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Discussion and possible action to accept the Horizon 6 Trail Report for discussion and possible further action. Again, continued from our April 7th, May 5th, May 19th meetings. The August 18th motion was to instruct county staff to take all responsible necessary steps to open up the Horizon 6 Trail to non-motorized public access. That was a 3-2 vote with Supervisor Moss and Bishop voting voting against. Wait, Moss, Bishop, that's not right. Anyway,
Moss,
we're going to
Watson.
reconsider. Yeah, whatever. Open to discussion?
Thank you, Chairman. The reason I'm bringing it back was
We didn't vote. Okay. So have a motion?
We had the motion, we voted on it, so now we go to the next one.
Right, I just said, but
okay.
now we got to, I want, does anybody want to
52B.
discuss it?
52B.
Before. Right, yeah, I just read it. Who wants to?
yes, I did. We're talking 52A.
52B, we just
52B.
voted on
Yeah.
52A.
Okay.
Okay.
One of the reasons I wanted to readdress this and take another look at this is information that I got back from our administrator, Mr. Hendricks, concerning the real liability involved in the agreements that would be put together by the engineers. Possibly Administrator Hendricks could further define the problem for us, but that was the reason why I wanted to bring this back for us to take another look at.
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Watson, the motion that was made and approved previously was to responsibly open up the channel for non-motorized traffic. And if engineers are involved, one of the things that we look at is personally is statute of limitations or law of reposts where there's a limitation on liability, but that doesn't extend to bodily injury or death or actually the courts have ruled recently that it doesn't extend to tort liability. So when we look at what we can actually accomplish for the board, what we look at is our legal responsibility because we own our engineering license. And so to responsibly design something that would open up these channels, we need to be confident that we have the professional expertise to be able to do such. In looking at this, it involves several different components, you know, and to design something along this lines, we provided the board with a concept report on this particular proposal to open up the channel, and it named several different areas of concern that we had as engineers and recommended against it. And where that leaves us, we also provided cost estimates that for us to responsibly open up this channel, we may be looking at acquiring additional right-of-ways. We may be looking at redesigning roadways so that we don't have sight distance problem, or doing some extraordinary things to actually, quote-unquote, responsibly open up this channel. So we realize that there's a considerable cost associated with this. Risk management also got involved in and wanted certain liabilities addressed and in relationship to insurance requirements and hold harmless clauses. And that was all presented to the board in our report. So in speaking with risk management and in trying to come up with a plan for how to proceed, you know, my engineers didn't feel confident or comfortable in addressing the problem. So therefore we recommended that we would actually look at a third-party firm to shift the liability over to if we were going to proceed with this. But we also believe that one, if we were going to do it, there'd be substantial costs associated with it. Third-party liability, to shift that liability over to another firm, there would also be costs involved, and I don't have a good handle for that. But where we stand right now is if we are going to move forward with it, our engineers and myself are saying that let's go ahead and hire a third-party consulting firm to proceed, and there's going to be a cost for not only hiring that firm but also for paying for the design. one thing that's important to note, we have an opinion from the county attorney that flood control funds can't be used for that, so we would have to identify another funding source. Thank you.
Okay, I know you.
Oh, I do.
All right, oh, you go first. I have some people, but you go.
No, let the people, let the public speak
Okay,
first.
I
will,
wanna-
it'll give me a few seconds to calm down.
Okay. Again, like we talked about this, it seems that this is a regular item now on our agendas, and we've spoke about it, and we know how certain people feel in favor and opposed, and so please keep that in mind when you're speaking, that we've really gone over a lot of this stuff. If you bring something new, we'd really like to hear it, so I'm going to allow everyone to speak. There are 3 minutes. First one up is Dub Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Board of Supervisors. I'm Dub Campbell. I'm a 50-year resident of Lake Havasu City and a lifetime resident of Mohave County. First off, I'd like to point out to the board that we're not asking for access to a flood control channel. They merely want to use the access road along the edge of it. They're making a mountain out of a molehill here. And the equestrians, you can't sue if you own a horse and you injure yourself on property that's posted. It needs to be non-motorized, a simple gate like the BLM puts up to allow the donkeys through is all that's needed to use that property. You know, if the county had to spend a few bucks on it out of the county parks, they don't have a single footprint in Havasu that I know of where they maintain or furnish any recreational things in the boundary of Lake Havasu at all. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been there a long time, and I don't know of anything since the Board of Supervisors gave Sarah Park, which was a county park, to the city because they didn't want to spend the money to maintain it. Since then, it's grown and made a nice park. But this trail's been there forever, and people that have that equestrian property up there should be able to access it. They're crossing a couple of dead-end roads where they have to cross the streets. There's no through traffic in that park. It's just the residents that live there. And to make a big deal out of it instead of letting them use it is ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Kathy Covert.
Good morning, Supervisors, Chairman Angus. I'm going to see if I can do a better job than I did last time. My name is Kathy Covert. I live at 4060 Lakeview Road in Lake Havasu. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been riding horses for over 40 years, and I consider myself a little experienced. I have raised and trained most of my horses. I have been a volunteer for the Lake Havasu City Mounted Patrol Police Department, a member of the Backcountry Horsemen of America, a volunteer for BLM to help designate a trail system. I have ridden in the London Bridge Days Parade off and on for years. I've ridden with Dick Heilman when they donated Don Laughlin's house to the college. I'm currently an active member of the American Competitive Trail Horse Association and a member of the Equine Land Conservation Resource. I even got married in the backcountry of the Sierra Mountains in California on horseback. Now let's talk some trail talk. I know one of your main concerns is the width of the trails, how you're gonna do this. I've ridden in some god-awful places. As a matter of fact, when I got married, I was on a horse, I was riding, was prancing all over the place. We came to a little, small, 24-inch wide trail and 300-foot drop-off down to a lake, into the lake below. I was a little scared, and I thought it best get off and walk until I heard my sister behind me yell, "Just hold on, the horse doesn't want to fall off the edge any more than you do." So I took my feet out of the stirrups, closed my eyes, and let the horse do his thing. Amazingly, he got me to the other side safe and sound. After that, I found a whole new confidence level in myself and my horse. I guess that's what I'm trying to tell you, that this trail can be as little as 24 inches wide or as wide as 8 feet. Temporary openings that are minimum of 48 inches or 49 inches wide with a telephone pole across the bottom are sufficient for a horse to walk through and over with a rider on them, but not wide enough for an off-road vehicle to get through, which is 50 inches. One of the concerns is some riprap that I know of on the canal there and I know there's at least 6 feet between the riprap and the edge of the canal. And gives us plenty of room to get by if we had to. I spoke to a fencing company. They stated chain link is less expensive than horse fencing. Some of us have different ideas about how things need to be done, but if plan A doesn't work, we need plan B. I hope this can help you decide which side of the canal would be easiest and more cost-effective for you to put the trail on. Please, let's not make it harder than it has to be. I've been bucked off, fallen on, kicked, bit, but I still love horses, and I'm not going to go away. And there are things we can do to sponsor, get money to raise. I have a sign I made.
Okay, well, you just said something at the end, and it's something that I had never really heard.
Okay.
And that was that the people who live there, who would be using it, raising money for whatever the fencing, but I'd never heard that before. As all the times that we've spoken about it, I've never heard that would be something that you guys, it would seem that that's maybe something you should have been doing this year while we've been, going back and forth. So I just wanted to say that because somebody brought it up last week, and I was like, well, that's the first time I heard that. It's always been what the county can do.
Yeah, Mr. Campbell, he's been so generous with donating his time, his properties, his equipment that he owns. If we ever need anything, he's always there to help. There are equestrian ACTHA, which is American Competitive Trail Horse Association. We can have events, maybe somewhere else, held on maybe Mr. Campbell's property, whatever, if we have to try to help to raise some money to make some access.
Okay.
I personally made a warning sign, or a picture of the warning sign on my property.
Thank you. That was just, I just wanted to make that point because you brought it up at the end, and that was literally the first time anyone's ever said that.
And I do have pictures of the openings and the widths, if anybody was interested in looking at them.
Thank you very much. Kenneth Works.
Good morning. My name is Kenneth Works. I live in Yucca. My address is 2250 Crystal Springs Road. The only reason I wanted to say anything because I thought this was all pretty much settled. I heard something on the radio saying it was going to cost $20,000 for a liability study. It just didn't seem to make any sense to me. I got a calculator a few days out on the trail. $300 would cover my costs if I wanted to go out there with a tape measure and do a liability study. I don't understand why the county's engineers are so afraid of this. I'd like to see it go through. I just don't understand why it should cost so much money. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mary Van Roy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, supervisors and staff. First time I heard this $20,000 for engineering study outside of our Mohave County employees, I was like, I can't believe this. I don't think anyone ever thought this would be a possibility. It doesn't have to cost any money, and we don't understand it at all. One thing I did ask is, who do we talk to? We're supposed to be able to talk to staff and talk about our ideas and share information. And I really would like to know who the staff and departments are, if you can give me some names or something. The other thing is, those 388 people that signed the petition wanting to have this non-motorized recreational trail, and the 20-some letters you got supporting our trail efforts are. No one says spend $20,000 just for a study. That makes no sense at all. It would be a terrible waste of taxpayer money, and that's the last thing we want to do. I did come to a couple of supervisors because I thought, okay, if I'm going to work with people, I have signs that we'd love to, actually I asked, do you have them in your warehouse? Because the one that we have already is just a horse on there. And I wrote there, we have it on my street and the streets in Donkey Acres. That's been there forever. But we'd like to have some more additional signs for safety, watching out. And of course, last time I was here, I showed you this one that they have in Cave Creek. And I would love to see something like that in Donkey Acres. And actually for Sarah Park at the fairgrounds, I did personally purchase 2 horse crossing signs. They were put up. The city and the BLM and, you know, the Friends of the Fair, and everybody's agreeable with it. And we did put a telephone pole where the cable was so the horses could step over it, keep out motorized vehicles. Of course, all of that other side of the fairgrounds is non-motorized. Anyway, so I've got all these different proposals and information. If somebody would please just talk to us. The double yellow stripes up the blacktop, that was a year ago in June. We went to the traffic safety people, and they also said, oh, we can't do the double yellow stripes on the blacktop. It just seems that our safety is really important to us who live there, and it doesn't seem to be much of a priority to anyone else. The V-gates that everyone keeps talking about for non-motorized, we could get 2 of those in at Window Rock, use that public road, which is already chain link fenced on both sides. That would be wonderful. I've already talked to the people on the property on the other end. And then the May 6th meeting, and I can show you the minutes, they said the only cost would be fencing. That's because the county wants a triple fence. The other thing was, and Mike just talked about this, because at that meeting he said flood money could legally be used for recreational trail. Now he's saying no, and I know I've talked to county staff and they've talked about grants that we can get. This is a long-term project if it has to be. I mean, I'm talking about the next generations. And Donkey Acres is a planning and zoning nightmare. So now all of a sudden we're so important that we have to have all these studies and this money spent. And this is a great trail opportunity that we all expected. And I'm just shocked that they're acting like, oh, we can't give you any recreational trails. We can't give you that half mile. To us, it's a no-brainer, but we want outdoor activity. We're a very friendly, neighborly bunch of people. A lot of us are older. I think they all 300 or 400 people would be here, except they're responsible people working. And everyone I ride with is either in Maryland or Michigan or California. They're away for this time of year. Again, I thank you. I want to say that the flood channel, we sold the acre. I'm very happy it's there. But gosh, you can spend $10 million on that, and you can't give us this little tiny trail along the maintenance road. We're not going to hurt your maintenance road. And again, if you just took the locks off, we could just use it that way. But I understand they want the 3rd fence.
Thank you very much, Mary.
And I have lots more information, but you've seen it.
You do. I know you do. Okay, is there anyone else who wants to speak before I give, oh, Mr. Hart?
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I'm Joe Hart. I would like to speak in favor of this. You know, trail riding is something that's really become popular. Any of you watch RFD TV, they have trail rides all of the time, and Lake Havasu City is a perfect place to be riding in the wintertime. It's a great opportunity to generate some money and jobs and all kinds of income to the area, and I think we should look at it as an economical engine for Lake Havasu City to help give them something else to do down there other than get out on the lake. I'll answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hart.
Oh, do you have anything?
No, I just said thank you to Mr. Hart.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Hart. Okay. Supervisor Moss?
Yes. If you look at the backup on item 45 that I provided, when I found that on the agenda was a $20,000 engineering study that was requested, I was somewhat shocked by that. I was shocked for several reasons. I was disappointed, heavily disappointed. One of the backup items I provided is a picture of a Maricopa County trail where there is a very large irrigation channel, very large with moving water, and there is no fence, there is no gate. There is trees, roughly 15 feet on one side, and water on the other. And the only thing that's posted there is a sign. So my first thought was, if Maricopa County can do it by posting a sign, why can't Mohave County do it? And if Maricopa County can do it with posting a sign, why doesn't Mohave County call Maricopa County and find out how they're doing it by posting a sign? My second thought was, we say the word trail because that's what I believe the residents of Lake Havasu and people from out of town would use it for. Whether it's bicycling or horseback riding or walking, we use the word trail, but in reality it's a road. It's designed for truck traffic, equipment, bulldozers, whatever it is you use to design and maintain a flood control channel. It's that wide. It's huge. It's not a trail. It's not a little tiny narrow gap going from point A to point B. It's a road that we send heavy equipment onto, that we send our employees onto. And you would have to be a fool to fall off that road into that channel and go rolling down the slope, which, by the way, would be safer than falling into the moving water channel of Maricopa County. The third thought I had was we got to send this out of county for engineering studies because our engineers don't want to take the risk. And it occurred to me that we have engineers. In fact, we have a lot of engineers in the county. We recently replaced a road superintendent with an engineer because they bring us all sorts of professional and expertise and experience that we can take advantage of because they're now our employees, and they're telling us they don't want to do the job. They can design roads, they can design buildings, they can do all sorts of heavy, dangerous activities out there, but they can't design a horse trail, a pedestrian trail, or a bicycle trail because it's too risky. This is my take on the situation. I think this $20,000 engineering study is, and I'm not going to use foul language even though I am tempted to do so, but it is a bunch of hooey. It's designed to kill this prospect. It's designed to kill the possibilities the citizens of Lake Havasu will get something back from their county, even if it is a simple half-mile of trail. And it really irritates me to have to read this. In fact, it makes me furious to have to read this. I think this county is doing a disservice to the citizens of Lake Havasu City, and more importantly, to Mohave County, because Mr. Campbell is right, Mr. Hart is right. Trails bring in people, people spend money. And that's all I have to say.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead. Go ahead. You live closer to it than I do.
Well, I think part of the problem that the engineers are having is we asked them to design a flood channel. Engineers are licensed. I think they designed the flood channel for flood control. And it's like anything else. If somebody builds your house and then you want to do something else with it, the original engineer has to sign off on that, or you really can't do anything, or you have to have it re-engineered. And I think that's where the engineers are going, especially with such a litigious country that we've become. I think that's what they're looking at, and I agree with them.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I agree with the folks in the audience. Had it not been for my vote at the last meeting, we wouldn't have passed it. My concern is simply the liability. And can we assign some type of investigation between now and the next meeting we have to find out what liability we would entertain by putting this area open for non-motorized access? I'm not in favor of spending $20,000. I don't know where the number came from, but I just want the liability factor, a known factor, before we proceed any further.
Okay.
I think we have that.
I think we have that too. I think we asked for it, and the first time we heard this on April 7th.
Madam Chairman and Supervisors, if I was going to design the channel, and what my engineers are also telling me if they were going to design the channel, we'd have to look at what's most concerning is the sight distance along two of the roadways, and it might entail some redesign of the roadways. With that said, what I recommended is let's go to a third-party engineer, and I put a not to exceed $20,000 on that fee because I have no idea, and the $20,000 came from me. I have no idea if it's going to be $500 or if it's going to be $20,000 or if you can get it, the engineering donated. But when we provided you with our engineering recommendation, you know, from the very get-go, you know, staff had our concerns, and we've gone over those extensively. So if staff is going to design something, it may not be something that the board would want to afford. What we were recommending and what I was recommending is if you're wanting to move forward with this, let's shift the liability to a third-party engineer. We would accept that. They would post it. They would do whatever is necessary. And I have no idea of the extent of the improvements that they would be recommending. But at least from a liability perspective, you needed to have a sealed blessing from an engineering firm to provide that recommendation to you. That's my best recommendation to the board. And they may say, if the engineering firm can live with it, they may say post it, open the gates. I have no idea. I know I wouldn't do that, and that's what I'm telling you. I won't do that.
Madam Chair, if I may. This is more to Supervisor Johnson's point. And I'm reading from another document which I provided to item 45's backup material. It's a May 9th, 2012 letter from the Mohave County Flood Control District to Mrs. Van Roy when she first brought up the issue in 2012. And part of this letter reads as follows. While the primary purpose of our construction is flood control, we do acknowledge the benefit to the community of trail access. If feasible, we will be constructing a maintenance access road along all or portions of the channel system. This could provide the possibility of the secondary use as a trail system. The maintenance road was built. This was specifically contemplated as being a secondary possibility for the use of that maintenance road. I suggest that if we want to explore how to responsibly convert this road into a trail, and I believe that Mr. Campbell and Mrs. Van Roy's on the other right, the way you do that is you open the gate. That's all you got to do. Maybe post a few signs. But if we want to responsibly explore it, we limit that responsible exploration to our county administration calling Maricopa County and finding out their process for opening up these access roads to the irrigation channels and the flood control channels that they have in Maricopa County. That's all.
So the least expensive way to do this is to open the gate and put up some signs. Because I keep hearing about these fencing, and I've heard everything from $10,000 to $100,000. So this whole thing has just been so convoluted from the start, from our first meeting in April 7th. So
I'm speaking from memory, Madam Chair, but if we were to put in fencing, there are some bids or some estimates which were provided by Ms. Van Roy, Mr. Gamble, and others, and I think the cost is to install the fencing along the interior side of the channel was roughly $28,000 to install the fencing on the interior. Now,
okay.
If you look at the photographs from Maricopa County, they don't even bother with that. They put up signs saying, travel at your own risk, or words to that effect.
yeah, it's not really Maricopa County, it's the Salt River Project. And I don't know if that makes any real difference. Well, it's U.S. government property. I don't know. Can we find that out once and for all?
And I'd be willing to put that in a motion.
Okay.
Okay? I'd like to make a motion that we continue to instruct county staff to take reasonable and necessary steps to investigate the Horizon 6 non-motorized public access and give us all information concerning the ability of Maricopa County to provide those services and to further identify Mohave County's liability.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? I guess the question I would have is there anything else that staff can possibly do? You've given us your recommendations. I mean, is there any, you've gone to risk management, you've gone to the engineers, you've talked to the attorneys. Is there something else that you can do?
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, I've given the board my best recommendation over and over again on this particular issue. And as far as, you know, I just asked the board on, for my benefit and for my staff to always take into consideration that we aren't lawyers, we aren't maintenance workers, we aren't other things. We have a special licensing, a special liability, that it even extends for, in the Arizona Administrative Code, if you all don't take our recommendation, we have to notify certain individuals, including the State Board of Technical Registration, of failure to adhere to engineer's recommendation. Now, with that said, the report that we provided you with our recommendation was not sealed, and that's another reason to go out for another engineering company. I really don't care what Maricopa County says. They're not going to influence my license. They're not going to influence my professional liability or my professional engineering certification or my professional engineering judgment. Maricopa County has nothing to do with that.
Maricopa County can, on the other hand, deliver cost-effective services to their residents.
All right, so what's the motion? Again. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm looking at the wrong person here.
It's to continue so that they can investigate and bring back to the Board of Supervisors information how Maricopa County is able to provide these type of access and services to their residents.
Do we need a time on that? Do you want 30-day?
We could probably call them and get something in writing from them within a very short period of time.
Okay, I would like 30 days because I'm not going to be here at the next meeting, but can we also put how the amount, because again, I've heard so many different, if we did it this way, or this way, how much it was going to cost. I want all the information. This is really, I know we want to get this right, and I have no problems bringing it back, but at some point, we're going to have to make a decision here. So I want all the information.
I believe cost was included in my motion.
Yes. It was cost, okay. All right, so there's a motion.
Clarification, Madam Chair, you just cost of the engineers to look at it if we go that way, not cost of the whole project, right?
Well, ask Supervisor Watson what he meant by it.
Because I don't think they'll know an engineer will come back and say, we need to do nothing, or we need to make it more secure, we have to buy land and do stuff, so I don't know if they'd give you a total cost.
That's true. Best estimate? What would be the best way to go on it?
I'll ask County
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Johnson, if you wanted to go that direction, we could develop a quick scope of services and ask for quotes from engineering firms on actually taking a look at this. And I think we could do that within the 30 days and get unofficial quotes. If the quotes come up above the purchasing limits to where we have to go out for a formal quote process, it's something we can take a look at. Obviously, we can direct select engineering services, so we should be able to get by with just the quotes. And like I said, it could be $500, it could be $1,000, it could be cheaper, or it could be $20,000.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
My question is, if our county people are afraid to tackle this as far as engineers, why would an outside firm take the chance of doing something so consuming and so challenging and what's the difference?
Madam Chairman, Supervisor Bishop, different engineers have different opinions. Generally, an engineering firm has professional liability insurance, and that would cover them. I don't carry professional liability insurance, and there's no guarantee that the county would cover me for anything if I made a mistake. Yet, let's say if we dumped somebody out on one of the far roads that there wasn't sight distance and someone got whacked and I got sued, you'd say, oh, well, he was a professional engineer. He's on his own. Also, if I do something like I told you and there was bodily injury or death, I'm liable for the rest of my life. So why would I take a chance of just putting up a simple sign or something like that and take a chance of that liability when I know that that would be a foolish act on my part? An engineering firm would have the liability. They would weigh the liability insurance. They could weigh the liability and come up with a recommendation that they felt comfortable with. I have to go the extra distance and ensure that I'm not liable for any activity.
Okay, I voted for this before because I was concerned of safety for the horse riders, but I'm also concerned with liability for the county. And I really do not want to spend $20,000 for an outside study before we even put in gates or fencing, whatever we need to do. So I'm looking forward to getting the rest of the information.
All of it.
All of it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, I believe. Do we have a second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye. No.
Okay. Okay, so with that, 45, that was all part of it, so we just, no action 45, or is that all part of that motion? Okay. 46, discussion and possible action, adoption of Board of Supervisor Resolution Number 2014-138, approving Mohave County's joining the American Stewards of Liberty in petitioning and potentially suing the United States Fish and Wildlife Service pursuant to the Endangered Species Act to compel the service to delist the Hualapai Mexican vole. It's a mouse. And authorize the chairman of the Board of Supervisors to sign and execute the necessary documents. Do we have anyone signed up? I do have somebody signed up to talk about this. Oh, Mr. Drahan, is he still here?
I believe
Okay.
Mr. Trahan has left.
Okay.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I move that we approve item 46 regarding the Board of Supervisor Resolution number 2014-138. And I would particularly note that keeping that vole, a mouse, on the list is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 47, discussion and possible action, adoption of the Board of Supervisor Resolution Number 2014-139, setting forth Mohave County's comments and objections to the draft environmental impact statement for the proposed revision to the non-essential experimental population of that Mexican wolf, the Canis lupus, whatever, and authorizing the chairman of the Board of Supervisors to sign a letter transmitting the adopted resolution to the United States Fish and Wildlife Service with copies to the Secretary of Interior, Mohave County's congressional delegation, and the governor of the state of Arizona.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-139.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 48, discussion and possible action, clarification of Mohave County's policies regarding smoke-free facilities.
Madam Chair, motion for discussion?
Do we have a
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Go.
Madam Chair, I brought this back to the board. If you notice out in front, we have a sign that says this is a tobacco-free facility. Some of our buildings are smoke-free, some are not, or we have different rules and regulations. What was brought to my attention was a gentleman came into the building that I'm in, smoking an electronic cigarette. When told to remove it, blew smoke in the employee's face, claiming that wasn't part of the program. And I think because there is tobacco in the cigarette, or there's nicotine, so it should be one. But I don't know that, you know, if staff could look at that to see if it's something we need to clarify, especially for the for all of our facilities, because our employees didn't realize that e-cigarettes were for or against.
And Madam Chairman, I believe in the new merit rules we've addressed the smoke-free cigarettes, and Supervisor Johnson has a good point that you know, whatever we do, we need to be fairly consistent with all of our facilities. But basically, the idea was that we would treat smoke-free cigarettes, e-cigarettes, as we would any other cigarettes, because it's certainly a detractor, and you can't tell what the people are actually doing. So it's something that we may want to highlight in our discussion. And I asked Ken to take a look at that policy that we have, and he could address it a little better. Thank you.
Right. And excuse me, Madam Chair and Board of Supervisors, when we're doing the smoke-free, it's smoke-free, tobacco-free, and everything into one in the new, or the proposed policy that we're going to talk about. I believe the statutes say that it is smoke-free, but it doesn't define it. I think that's our right to define it, of what we declare what is smoke-free, and that's where the e-cigarettes fall into that.
All right, yeah, Madam Chair, and I think just we can make it clear, because I know the facility up here says tobacco-free campus, and you know, I mean, people are smoking apple cores now, so.
They smoke pretty good?
Yeah, it should be smoke-free, not tobacco-free.
Thank
Okay, I believe Bob Prince
Get them
wants
to
to
fire
say
up, huh?
Well, good afternoon. Supervisor Angus, Supervisors, County Administrator. I think the question here is that whether it's a cigarette or it's not a cigarette. And if you look at United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit held that in 2011, the authority to regulate electronic cigarettes derives from the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act of 2009. And so electronic cigarettes at that point and by that court were determined to be a tobacco product. With that in mind, when you look at Arizona State Statute 36-601.01, Smoke-Free Arizona Act, it specifically talks about smoking means inhaling, exhaling, burning, or carrying or possessing any lighted tobacco product, including cigars, cigarettes, blah, 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 blah. It goes on to say in paragraph D that notwithstanding any other provision of this section, an owner, operator, manager, or other person or entity in control of an establishment, facility, or outdoor area may declare that entire establishment, facility, or outdoor area a non-smoking place. And then you go on to section M of that same statute, and it says, this section does not prevent a political subdivision of the state from adopting ordinances or regulations that are more restrictive than this section, nor does this section repeal any existing ordinance or regulations that is more restrictive than this section. In today's world, what we're looking at is that Mohave County excuse me, in the Employee Benefit Trust, we're trying to bring down the claims. Our claims this year is anticipated to be $1,200,000. And that's a significant increase over last year, about a 10%. The one single largest element is smoking. The federal government, the FDA, and many other agencies, including ourselves, have recognized that secondhand smoke is a great contributor to carcinogens and other health threats that we have today. And so if we look at the state statute, it gives us the authority not only to act on all of our campuses and expand it from the 25 feet outside of the doors to a complete campus. It also gives us the authority, and I believe by them mentioning it in the statute, that the legislature wanted to be clear that we could make it more restrictive than what this smoke-free policy or the smoke-free statute, Smoke-Free Arizona statute says. And so e-cigarettes, while they're not specifically named in the statute, we could include those as a tobacco product, which is delineated by the District of Columbia Circuit and the Circuit of Appeals there. So my feeling is that with an effort to improve the health of Mohave County and the employees at Mohave County, that we should take a serious look at doing exactly that.
Thank you. Supervisor Johnson, do you want to do the policy now instead of waiting for the merit rules? Because I don't foresee the merit rules, taking place for quite some time. We're just going to start them today. If that's something.
It would be my preference to have direct staff to come back within. I don't think it'd be that long. Next board meeting, not the one,
right.
The one Thursday, but updating the policy just to protect our employees. So if they do they know their rights when they say, no, there's no smoking here, you can't smoke that, and, just to protect them. And
you want to put that in the motion?
please the board make a motion, direct staff to come back within 2 weeks or 3 weeks with an updated no smoking policy from our Mohave County facilities.
I'll second the motion.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 49, discussion and possible action approving county employee participation via payroll deductions to 501c3 nonprofits such as River Cities United Way, River Fund, and other organizations, and to instruct staff to make all appropriate and necessary arrangements. We have one person signed up to speak, Julie Sassine. Oh, lucky me.
It's usually butchered, so. Madam Chairperson and members of the board, my name is Julie Sassine. I reside at 3309 Silver Saddle Drive in Lake Havasu City. I am the current 2014-2015 volunteer board chairperson for River Cities United Way. I'm here to ask you to give consideration to this action today to allow county employees to voluntarily give to nonprofits through payroll deduction. United Way has very successful campaigns with Lake Havasu City and Bullhead City employees, and we're in talks with the City of Kingman. So we would like to take this on to the county. Need is up and donations are down. I don't think anybody has an argument about that one. Kingman, Bullhead, and Lake Havasu all have nonprofits that are lacking in funding to meet the needs to the people that they serve. Allowing for payroll deduction allows people to be generous. I personally give several $1,000s to nonprofits, and it's all through payroll deduction. And I can tell you, if I didn't have payroll deduction, I could not make those kind of donations. You know, ask me to write that check, and it probably would not happen. River City United Way can also be used to make donations to any 501c3 charity. So by allowing us to come in and do a workplace campaign, you're opening up the doors to any 501c3. Most agencies that your employees would give are actually supported by United Way already. I have run a very successful United Way campaign at the hospital in Lake Havasu for about 7 years, all on the premise of $1 a pay period makes a difference, and it does. We took it from about $10,000 a year up to over $45,000 a year that we give back to our community, all $1 at a time with our employees. I have one of my housekeepers who is probably very close to needing the services of United Way, and she gives a one-time donation of $1 every year. And she wants to be part of giving back, and she understands that communities need to come together to be able to give back. People want to help each other. We're just asking that you give them the opportunity to do so. There's an argument that government and nonprofits should not interact. I couldn't disagree with that more. Counties are here to take care of the members that live within their borders. You, the county supervisors, make decisions every day to help take care of the people in the areas that you were elected to serve. Nonprofits kind of do the same thing. We raise funds to take care of the needs in the communities where we serve. Partnering together just makes sense to me. I also think that a county is healthier when the poorest citizens have access to the assistance that they need. I think that county and nonprofit interaction is actually crucial. We are not asking you to endorse one nonprofit over the other. We're just asking you to let your employees have that mechanism to make that choice. By approving this motion, you also give your employees better access to the tax credit. It's called the Working Poor Tax Credit. Taxpayers are allowed to give up to $200 if they're single, $400 if they're married. They pay throughout the year. They get it back off their taxes. And of course, I'm not a tax professional. I just have 2 more sentences. But by doing donation through payroll deduction, this allows them access to that, and that diverts those tax dollars back to our community instead of going to Phoenix. And I don't know about you, I'd rather have them come here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you very much. When you first visited me in my office and brought this issue to my attention, I thought I'd bring it to the board because there was an effort to get it done through the county administration, and I believe you were unsuccessful in that. And I do believe it is a very good way of keeping our tax dollars in Mohave County as opposed to shipping them off to Phoenix. I'll tell you my personal experiences when I was a young Marine. Marine private makes like $950 a month in the early 80s, not very much at all. But we all gave $5 or $10 at a time, and we never missed it. If you'd asked me to take it out of my bank account and hand it over, it never would have happened. So I really think this is a good way for the county's employees on a voluntary basis. They can either contribute or not contribute as they choose. But if they do contribute, it's a very good way of not only helping the nonprofits that service Mohave County, Arizona, but it's also a good way of keeping our tax dollars in Mohave County, Arizona, via the tax credit that was previously referenced. So thank you. So thank you for explaining that. You did far better than I ever could have.
Hey, I do both the school tax credit and the working poor, and I've done it for years, and I love that my money comes back to my county, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to say?
I'd just like to make one comment, if I could, Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly endorse the River Cities United Way, many other nonprofit organizations throughout Mohave County. They do a great job, but I don't feel it's our position or our place as a governmental agency to be involved in the endorsement of making these contributions to the nonprofits. That's just a personal.
And if I could, Madam Chair, if I believe I understood correctly, Lake Havasu and Bullhead City can do it, so I think Mohave County can do it. If the Marine Corps can do it, I think that's all the endorsement that I need to know that this is in, I think, the greater public good. So.
I think, Madam Chair, if I may. Well, Supervisor bring up a good position, but I've seen where contests are held and department heads can force their other people to all join in, supporting one donation or another. This isn't the first time this has been brought to us. It's been brought to us in years past. There is a cost to the county to do this, and I won't be supporting it.
I'll just pipe in. I think I've been consistent in my separation of nonprofits and government. For those reasons, I think it's a slippery slope. People are free to give. That's the joy of giving. Did you want to say something about this? Okay.
Madam Chairman, just a technical point. There's currently in the administrative procedures an allowance for the board to designate the voluntary payroll deductions made to an organization. But we had, when we approved that, we put a limit on that the payroll deduction would only be allowed if there were at least 200 employees who signed up for that individual. And I'm not suggesting 200 is the right number, but we certainly should be cautious about the motion as presented, which just opens up to any 501c3 that somebody wants to donate to, that we would need to start doing payroll deductions. For example, I could come in and say my church is a 501c3, and I want my weekly collection to be paid through payroll deduction and have the county write that check instead of me writing that check. And so I think it would be wise to consider, if you're going to approve this, to understand, A, that there's already a policy that has minimum participation requirements, and B, you may want to change that, excuse me, may want to change that minimum, but I think it would be ill-advised to just make it open to every 501c3 that any individual employee wants to contribute to, and individual employees may want to contribute to 5 or 6 each. And so it presents a burden, not that we couldn't do it, but just ask you to consider that that has an implication.
Thank you. Okay, any other discussion?
I'm seeing there's none, Madam Chairman. I'll make a stab at a motion. I move that we approve the county voluntary employee participation via payroll deductions to 501(c)(3) nonprofits such as River Cities United Way, Riverfront, and other organizations, provided that at least 25 Mohave County employees elect to participate in donating to each organization, and to instruct staff to make all appropriate and necessary arrangements.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So that motion did not go through. Number 50, discussion and possible action approving the use of day-use facilities at Davis Camp by the Arizona Game and Fish Department for the purpose of conducting the Release the Fish Day program for area youth at no cost to the state or all event participants on October 4th, 2014. I don't know if this reads right. Motion to discuss?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, this is about Arizona Game and Fish has offered, they have stepped up, and they're going to be giving us stocking 21,000 trout beneath Davis Dam on October 4th. And they had asked that during this time, if we would like them to come, and they do a thing. They come, it's just something they do workshops, they have kids, they bring poles, they bring instructions. It's a really fun day, and it can be as big or small as we want. I know we're starting the talks now. We're talking about, bringing the city into it, however we want to do it. First of all, I want to thank Arizona Game and Fish again for doing this. They've been the only ones who have stepped up during this our fish crisis and are paying for this, and it is at their cost that they're coming down. So what we are asking is that there will be no fee that day to come to the park. A program area at no cost to the state. I don't quite understand what that means, no cost to the state or all. So we're not going to charge Arizona Game and Fish a fee to come in.
That's correct.
That makes sense. Since an event fee. We're not going to charge that event fee. And I believe that there'll be no fee for participants. It's for kids. Also, Arizona Game and Fish, they're coming on a Saturday. They never do that. They're making it special for us because of all that we've gone through. And again, that's a special consideration, and I'm sure there's some costs involved for them to do that as well. So again, thank you. And with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve item 50 of the agenda and waive the fees for the state and the event participants on October 4th, 2014.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We have pulled 51. So we have a workshop, and what do you guys think? A half hour?
I would like
An
to just
hour?
start it now and get it done.
I need a break. So you want to say 15 minutes or a half hour?
Half hour.
Half hour, and some people need to get something to eat. And we are adjourned until 1:10. We'll make it 1:15. How's that?